This video will guide you through the basic setup process of a ZFS HA cluster on Linux. By the end of this video, you will have configured an active cluster with shared storage, a clustered service sharing a ZFS pool, and a virtual hostname by which clients are able to access the service. The first step, if you haven't already done so, is to download and install the RSF1 cluster software onto each cluster node. Download links and information on how to do this can be found in the description of this video or in the comments below. Another task you'll need to complete before we get going is to make sure that any firewalls in the cluster environment have the ports that are shown on screen now open before attempting configuration. Once all this is done, you can head over to the web app. To do so, type in your hostname, followed by a colon, and the port number 8330. Once the web app loads, the first step is to create an admin user. To do so, click the Begin Setup button and proceed to enter in your information. Once this is completed, you'll be redirected to the web app login, where you can now log in using the credentials you've just provided. Once you've logged in, you'll be taken to the dashboard. Before we continue, make sure the hosts file is configured correctly on both nodes. Hostnames cannot be directed to 127.0.0.1, and both nodes should be resolvable on both nodes. This reduces dependencies on external services, such as DNS. On screen is an example of a correctly configured hosts file for two example nodes, Node A and Node B. At this point, you are now ready to begin configuration. Click on Create Cluster on the left-hand side of the web app, and the web app will then proceed to scan for clusterable nodes. These are nodes that are running RSF1 but that are not yet part of a cluster. These nodes will then be presented on screen. Starting at the top of the web app, enter the cluster name and the description, and then select the type of cluster that's being created. A shared storage is where nodes share the same storage and disks connect to all active nodes, whereas a shared nothing is where nodes do not share the same storage and disks connect to individual nodes only. For this example, we'll be setting up a shared storage, so we'll go ahead and select shared storage from the web app. If any of the selected nodes have not yet been licensed, a panel will appear at the bottom of the web app to obtain a 45-day, no restriction free trial. Simply enter your email address in the provided field and accept the end user license agreement. This email address will only be used for licensing and will not be used for any kind of marketing purposes. Once any licenses have been obtained, click Create Cluster. Once the cluster has been created, you'll be taken to an options page. Ensure that if your disks are multipathed, that multipathing is enabled on this page, otherwise disk reservations will not function correctly. These settings can be modified after the setup of the cluster if necessary, by heading over to Settings and then Linux. Once you're happy with everything on this page, the next step is to add pools to the cluster, so click on Cluster Pools at the bottom of this section. On this page, you have two choices. You can either cluster an already existing pool, which can only use drives that are a part of the shared storage, or you can create a new pool. For this example, we're going to create a new pool. So in the top right-hand corner, click on Create Pool. On the following screen, enter in the desired name for the pool, and then select the disk layout you want to use. The available disk layouts are JBOD, RAID Z2, and Mirror. For this example, we're going to select RAID Z2. Beneath this, you'll see all of the available disks that can be added to the pool. This is where you can select the disks and assign them to different roles. These roles are Data, Log, Cache, and Spare. For this example, we're going to assign 5 disks to Data, and then 1 disk to Log, 1 disk to Spare, and 1 disk to Cache. Once you're happy with your disk and role allocations, click on Submit in the bottom right-hand corner. After this, you'll be redirected to the ZFS pool screen from earlier on. Our pool is now created, so we want to click on Actions and select Cluster Pool. On the following screen, you'll be able to select your preferred node. The preferred node is the node you prefer the service to start on when both nodes are available. This is on a per pool basis. Next, we'll add a virtual hostname. So click on the Add button and then proceed to fill in the hostname details. The virtual hostname is the IP by which you access the pool, and the virtual hostname will failover with the pool. This ensures client connection is maintained throughout failover. Additional virtual host names can be added in the settings later. Beneath this, you'll see the Node Interfaces section. For nodes that have multiple network interfaces, use the drop-down menu to select which interface the virtual host name should be assigned to. If you do change the node interfaces, make sure to confirm them, and then in the bottom left-hand corner, click on Create. You'll then be redirected back to the pool screen, and you'll see that the created pool is showing as clustered. To see the status of the cluster, click on Dashboard on the left side panel, and you'll be taken to the dashboard, which shows the location of each service, as well as the respective pool states, and shows the failover modes on the right-hand side of the page. These failover modes are automatic or manual. Automatic mode means the service will automatically start on a node should the other node crash. If in manual, it will not. Manual mode is generally used when performing maintenance. At this point, you've completed the basic configuration of a ZFS HA cluster on Linux. If you need any further assistance or information regarding this, you can find a link to the highavailability.com documentation hub in the description of this video or in the pinned comment below, where there are additional resources to help you with the setup process. Thanks very much for watching.